For the freelancers, the weekend warriors, and the everyday hunters who live for the 3 a.m. coffee and the year-round grind. This isn't just a show about the flight. It's about the people behind it. We're the voice for the industry small guys, the product creators, and the small business owners who build the gear we count on. But out here, it's more than just the technical obsession. It's the faith that guides us and the four-legged partners who never let us down. It's where friendship meets the marsh and camaraderie is forged in the cold. Just the heart and soul of the waterfowl world. From the blind to the studio, we're in this together. Welcome to Winging It Waterfowl. Let's get to work.
Welcome back to Winging It Waterfowl. I'm your host, Troy Miller. With me, as always, is my other host, Blake Horton. So, we are coming up on the 1 year finally. I'm sure everyone is tired of hearing us talk about it, but it is finally here. So, this is episode 54. And as this drops, if you're hearing this, it is live for at least 1 week. We will have the form out on all the socials. And if you're watching it, let me pull this up right quick. I have the form right here. And this is just something simple. What it is just a form I created. We're going to have a code word. I'm not going to tell you where it's at in here. It's not here at the beginning, and it's not at the very end. It is going to be in the episode. So you're going to have to listen to it. It is nothing convoluted, nothing crazy, but you'll have to listen to the episode for the code word. But right here, what it is you just need to put in your email so that I don't have someone putting in 78 entries. So that's all that's pulling. I'm not saving your emails or anything like that. It's just an email verification that, so you only submit one. Now, if someone has 17 emails, there's nothing I can do to stop you there. Please don't. But that's all that's there for. And then you'll type in the code word here. It's not going to tell you if it's right or wrong. It just sends it to me and I review it. And obviously I can tell if it's right or wrong. And then down here at the very bottom, the only thing I want you to put there is just your info with how you would like to be contacted. Now, if it's email, put your email in there, put your name in there, and then how you want me to contact you, whether that's email, direct message on one of the social medias, or if you want your phone number on there so I can text you or call you. Go ahead and put that in there. However you want us to contact you, just put it here in the bottom. And then you submit it. It all comes to me. We're going to run this till very last minute, Thursday night next week. And then Friday, when the new episode drops for our 1 year episode, we will have all the winners. We'll announce them on there and I will get in contact with you. So that is what we've got going.
You'll have until 9 o'clock Thursday evening. It's about normal when we do our intros, just to make sure we have enough time to get everything. So 9 o'clock Thursday evening will be the cutoff.
Yeah. And so the prizes, if you haven't seen the flyer, and we'll be reposting that, I'll do a little video kind of breakdown of what all we're giving away. So from Big River Ammunition, you'll get a box of your choosing, size, shot size, caliber, all that stuff. You will do a gift card kind of thing where, because it's ammo. And so we'll get you the info for that. I'll get with Ryan. He'll have that for you. Whatever you want to order, a whole box of shells from Ryan from Big River Ammunition, you'll have that. And then we're going to do 2 pattern packs. So whoever wins the pattern packs, that'll be 2 pattern packs. You'll get to pick whatever you want to try out if you've never got to try any Big River Ammunition out. And you'll get 2 pattern packs and he'll get those sent to you. And then from Flyaway Field Supply, our winner number 1 prize from them is going to be a custom lanyard. So we'll get you in contact with Dylan and he's going to make you a lanyard however you want to make it. And then he'll get that sent to you. And then the second prize for Flyaway Field Supply is going to be a tote, a 6-shooter tote. So you can pick your color and all that stuff on there and he'll get it out to you. And then we will be doing 2 shirts. So, and 2 some decal Waterfowl shirts, which are kind of like this. Yeah. And we'll have decal stickers with them as well. So I don't know if anyone's looked at this, but we have our logo on the front and then here on the back. Can you see it, Blake?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay. So these are the kind of shirts. May not be this exact kind of faded one. We'll see what we can get, but we'll have a camo with our logos and everything on it will be the prizes from us. So exciting stuff. All you got to do is listen to the episode, and make sure and like and subscribe whenever you're there. That kind of lets us know how many people are listening and that you heard about it. So go on there, get your entries in. You have a week from tomorrow or today when this releases. So, and then this week we had Elliott Snider. So that is one of the OGs of Waterfowl on social media. So got to visit with him. We've been trying to get hooked up with him for quite a while. We were finally able to make it work. It was a fun little conversation. I think it's one of the ones we probably could have gone on for another 2 or 3 hours and still not covered everything we wanted to.
Yeah, but I mean, me and Troy have listened to Elliott and a bunch of them since, gosh, it's been 6 years ago probably since we started listening to him. So we listened to him for a while. Yeah. But yeah, it was a good buddy. Able to come in and kind of show us the ropes a little bit at first, kind of give us some pointers on what to use, how to do it. So we really do appreciate him giving the time for us to not only help us start our podcast, but also come in and talk to us after we've been doing it for a year. So, because we've really officially been doing it over a year now. It's just we released a year. So,
yes, sir. It's a fun episode. He kind of goes into getting started, and at the time, no one was really doing Waterfowl podcast or Waterfowl social media, no Waterfowl YouTube, stuff like that. He kind of tells how he got started in that and the journey he's gone on through that, and getting his app up and running, and all the other things that comes with being on a podcast and YouTube and all that stuff. So it was a good little conversation. He kind of goes into talking about training his dog and how he goes about that, and getting into trials and picking dogs and stuff like that to be your hunting partner. So it was a really great conversation, a little bit of something in there for everyone. And then, like I said, next week is going to be the 1-year episode. We will have everything released. Just somewhere in here, you're going to have to listen and hear our code word. It's not hidden. Like I said, it's not hidden. It's not anything like you got to listen to it and be real careful. It's going to be plain as day. You'll know where it's at when it's there. But you got to listen, and I'm not going to tell you where it's at. Just, it's not here at the beginning. It's not there at the end. But other than that, we're going to turn it over to the recording, let y'all listen to our interview with Elliott. I think y'all are really going to enjoy it.
Winging and Waterfowl podcast is presented by these fine partners. Big River Ammunition. If you want high performance, hard-hitting loads with hand-load consistency that delivers big duck energy, Big River has you covered. Right now, every case or half-case order gets a free waterproof ammunition. Use code WINGIT, WINGINIT, and check out free shipping on all orders over $100. We're also presented by Flyway Field Supply, formerly TFS Cable Works. Y'all know we rely on gear built to take the abuse of waterfowl season, and they're still delivering that same heavy-duty field testers reliability. Check out their full lineup and use code WINGIT20 for 20% on all handmade gear. Flyway Field Supply. Let us carry the hunt.
Welcome back, and we have a very big welcome for a man that probably needs no introduction to anyone that listens to this show, Mr. Elliott Snider. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. Heat of summer, trying to get to teal season, so we're almost there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You said you're a week out?
Well, 2 weeks, a week from this Saturday. So it's, basically 2 weeks out. 2 weeks out. The Nebraska teal opener is the 5th, and then the Kansas is the following weekend. So I'll have three weekends and 2 weeks starting in 2 weeks from now, starting on the 5th.
So you go hit the Nebraska.
Yeah, we start in Nebraska for 1 week, and then the second weekend will probably be Kansas, but maybe Nebraska, and then the third week will be Kansas. And we've had a lot more water this year than years past, so the habitat actually in Kansas, at least, the places I've looked at is not near as good just because we've had so much high water that the moist soil vegetation hasn't had a chance to grow. But I think the places where we're going to be at in Nebraska have phenomenal habitat. So I'm sure we'll kill a bunch of teal.
Yeah, that's what me and Troy were talking about earlier. We're trying to, which I mean, I've talked to you about. Well, we go to Nebraska later in the year to go hunt, and we're like, I hope they get a little bit more rain than what they got, but they're getting some here next couple of weeks, it looks like. So,
well, I think we go pretty much the same place. And the satellite imagery I'm looking at, it looks good to me. There's all the pools that I particularly like seem to have pretty good water from what I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to look on the Onyx and figure that out, but they're just kind of scrambled every now and then. So,
yeah, the Onyx real-time imagery is not ideal.
Yeah.
But if you roll it back enough, you can. It's good enough. It's better than nothing. I think there's plenty of water. I think there's plenty of water, especially farther on the western edge of them, or eastern. I'm sorry, eastern edge of them.
Yes, sir. So
now, when go ahead. I was going to say, when you go up there to Nebraska and stuff like that, are you only duck hunting, or do you get any other hunting in while you're up there during that time?
No, I'm only. Well, we will do a dove hunt probably on the first day. So we'll do a teal hunt, dove hunt that evening, and then a teal hunt on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much strictly a duck hunter and an opportunistic goose hunter. But I'm essentially at this point in my life, I'm essentially just a duck hunter.
Yes, sir.
So, I know, like, me and Troy listen to you a lot, but I guess for the people that haven't, kind of introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us about like what you do and basically how you hunt and how you got into hunting.
Okay. How much? I mean, I can spend a lot of time on that. So if I get long-winded, feel free to cut me off. But my name is Elliott Snider. I've lived in Kansas my entire life. I grew up in central Kansas, hunting doves, pheasant, quail, prairie chickens, and we really got into big time hunting prairie chickens, which I don't even know if there's not much of a population anymore, but that was like one of our passions was prairie chicken hunting. But we upland hunted too and turkey hunted. And then sometime around, I think I was 13, my dad took me on a teal hunt. We didn't have any decoys, didn't have any waders. We just sat on a dike. Well, I'm sure that, if we were by any serious duck hunters, we were one of those noobs. Like, those guys are clueless, But there was something about a freshwater, shallow, moist soil vegetation pool that just caught my imagination. And so from then until about 18 or 19, I kept asking my dad, let's go duck hunting. Let's go duck hunting. He got a pointing lab around the time I graduated high school, and we started duck hunting. And once we started duck hunting, we essentially stopped hunting everything else. And from that point, it just blew everything else away as far as what we liked to do. So from that point on, we were just duck hunters. In 2015, I decided to take a video camera with me out duck hunting that my father-in-law had given me. And when I growing up, my dad had always had video cameras around, always filmed everything. So we've got all sorts of footage, some hunting, some fishing. But in 2015, I took a camera out and started filming, put it on YouTube to show it to my dad. And next thing you know, people were watching the videos, which was a complete shocker to me. I had never uploaded a video to YouTube. I had no aspiration to get any type of fun. In fact, at that point in time, the modern day YouTube waterfowl video did not exist. At that time, you would have kill shot montages to like heavy metal music. There was a lot of that on YouTube, and then the grind was going. Some of those early shows where it was like heavily produced shows, but as far as just like regular guys making waterfowl videos, it literally did not exist on YouTube. There was nobody doing it. So I started doing it, and Josh from Outdoor Limits started doing it in 2015. Snowballs, and then now there's like everyone's doing it now, but it like that whole thing snowballed from 2015 till about 2000. And so my channel grew. It's not one of the biggest channels, but it grew and got a good following. Somewhere around 2018, I started with Jordan Fromer on the Duck Gun podcast, and we grew that podcast substantially, got to about episode 250. and Jordan and I decided we were going to go our own ways. And we're still like, he's one of my, if not my best friend, one of my very closest friends. We just decided it was time to go in a different direction. I started my own podcast called the North American Waterfowler Podcast. And now I'm up to about 295 episodes on that podcast. In addition to that, somewhere along the way, I started a podcast with Chris Jobman, who's one of the premier waterfowl dog trainers in North America, called the Flatliner Kennels Podcast. So yeah, I got a lot going on. I've been doing it since 2015, and it's only enhanced my waterfowl experience. I love filming. I love the podcast. I love it all. I can't get enough of waterfowl. I can't get enough of duck hunting. I can't get enough of talking about it. Can't get enough of filming it. So I absolutely love it. And I still live in Kansas. I hunt Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri. Those are the 3 states that I hunt a lot. I travel to a few other states, but that's pretty much it. Those 3 are the states that I frequently hunt. So I think that's actually probably the short version of me.
Yeah. So I guess when you first started podcasting, I mean, as you know, or I think Troy's talked to you a little bit about it, this, like, our next episode will be our year episode. How has it changed from 2015 to now? Has it been harder to do the podcast? Has it been easier?
Well, the production side of it is way easier because now Riverside does everything for you. I mean, before there wasn't these tools that podcasters have to make things just so easy. The editing's easy. The short content's easy. It's just incredible. The tools that are at a podcaster's disposal now are just absolutely incredible. But podcasts really started to blow up somewhere around that 2017, 2018, 2019. So when Jordan and I started, I was on with him on episode 3. So, I mean, I was like, he started it, and then I jumped on early as his co-host, and there wasn't hardly anyone doing it. There was a waterfowl podcast called the HP Waterfowl Podcast. And then there was just a handful. There wasn't very many people that were doing waterfowl podcasting. And now, I mean, it's much, much harder. Anytime you get in on the ground floor of something, whether it's YouTube or podcasting, it's just so much easier to grow a audience because there's not 1,000 people doing it. And I mean, now it's like there are a load of podcasts out there, whether it's not just waterfowl, but just podcasts in general. So anytime you have an overload of content, it can be much more difficult to grow an audience. And I just got really, really lucky getting in on the ground floor of YouTube, getting on the ground floor of the podcasting. My timing was just lucky. And so, but everything, as far as, like I said, the production side, my gosh, things are easy now compared to what they were at the start.
Yeah, I know Troy does most of our production stuff. So if I had to do it by myself, it would be a bad ordeal.
Well, Riverside Riverside is pretty intuitive. You know, it's got a lot of tools at its disposal, and all those tools that are Riverside were just done manually before, all the editing, all the everything. I mean, you know, if you made a mistake in a podcast before, you had to dig in and find it and root it out. Now you click that little button, marks it, and even AI will even mark it for you a lot of times, right? So it still takes work. Don't get me wrong. It's just easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know in the beginning for us, I was spending so much time. I was like, oh, there's a pause here. Oh, someone took a breath too loud there. Like, I was just trying to polish everything.
Micromanaging it.
Actually, yeah. Blake, I think, was talking to you when he had spoken to you, and he's like, man, he talks about he gets his done at night and he on air the next day. And I was like, oh, there's no way I can do that. And then now a lot of times that's what I do. I'm like, okay, I've got that mark button and, you know, just enhance the audio a little bit, cut here and there. And I pretty much just let it flow. I was just micromanaging it too much, very much in the beginning. And now I'm like, you know what? It's a podcast. We're not on some big network. People aren't expecting perfect quality. So I kind of loosened the reins on that, and that helped out a lot. I think it actually made it a better show at that point too.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind pauses. I don't mind. It doesn't have to be perfected. I mean, what Riverside can take out the pauses. It can take all the ums and ahs and everything if you want it to. I feel like it breaks the natural flow of it if you start messing with it too much.
Yes. And I initially was doing that, like, oh, the ums and ahs and the pauses. I was like, yeah, take those out. That's 5 minutes cut out of there that doesn't need to be in there and whatnot. But now I'm like, after listening to it, I'm like, it's just too fast paced and you don't have any room to breathe in there when you're listening to it.
Yeah, I have gotten comfortable with pauses. I've been able to strategically limit the vast majority of my ums through practice and actually being intentional. And those little silent gaps in there, I think, is preferable to cutting them out completely. And certainly preferable to just saying all the time. But unless you're doing it like rarely when I'm listening to people, do I notice the ums unless it is so out of hand that it's constant. If you can have a bunch of them and people won't even notice, but there are certain people that do it so much you can't help but notice. And that's when it's a problem.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I totally agree there. So going back to your first hunt with your dad, were y'all hunting like a moist soil, or y'all hunting? There's not much timber to hunt in Kansas, is there? If any,
there is some timber up along the east side of Kansas, but I grew up in the plains. Central Kansas is just hardly any trees, rolling plains, not dead flat rolling plains, and we are actually hunting the biggest moist soil marsh in North America. It's like 42,000 acres, but it's cut into multiple pools. And we were on a blue-winged teal hunt. And yeah, it was just a shallow, moist soil. We just sat on this dike and we got one skybush shot, I remember. But there's just something about the feel of freshwater marshes that is just so alive that I'm just absolutely addicted. I'm a marsh rat. I just love the feeling of those shallow, moist soil pools, especially prairie marshes. Where you can see like where you guys going into Nebraska. I mean, you can see for miles. It's hard to hide, but I love it. I love those prairie marshes where you can just see in every direction for long distances. It's just really a unique atmosphere.
yeah, I agree there. I mean, now I live in Louisiana, which I grew up in the Panhandle with Troy, and now I live in Louisiana. There's nothing but trees everywhere, so it's just that's one thing I've always told Troy. I said I miss getting to see the storms roll in, and I miss sunsets.
Yep. Yeah, if I get so many trees around me, I want to be able to see. Like I said,
Yeah.
I want to be able to see. And I love killing ducks around trees too. That's really fun. Don't get me wrong. You get them going vertical down around trees and stuff. That's the cool thing about waterfowl hunting is there's so many different landscapes to enjoy. And prairie marshes probably are my favorite, but I mean there's so many different places that are fun to hunt.
Yeah. So when you hunt those prairie marshes, are y'all, which I've seen some of your videos, do you hunt a lot in the kayak, or do you try to walk in and build a makeshift blind? I mean, I've seen you do several, but what's your preferred?
It really just depends on the situation. So I think you have to be ready to attack every situation with whatever piece of gear you need. So we've pulled A-frames into places before. I've got an Ascend H12 with a layout blind on it. I've got little fast strike blinds. I've got a panel blind. I really do love layout hunting. There's advantages and disadvantages. So when you layout hunt, it's like the intimacy that you have with the environment when you're laying down in it is really fun and unique. Although sometimes the visuals it's difficult to fully see sometimes when you're down in that. But it is, if you can give me a solo hunt where I'm in my layout, but then the layout can also get very wet, as you guys probably know, which is kind of a pain, but you get your dog right behind you. You're in a layout. It's hard to beat. It is hard to beat, but it just depends on the scenario. Some years I have not been laying out near as much as in the past. It just depends on the year. Last year I went on the opener by myself out to where you guys hunt, and I laid out on that one. When we teal hunted it, we had fast strike blinds, which are these little plastic pieces that Rogers sells that unfold and you can stick vegetation in them. They're really portable. We had 4 guys and we used fast strike blinds, which was ideal. I would much rather us be in fast strike blinds than having 4 people in layouts. So typically the layout hunting is if I'm solo, I do more of that. than if I'm with a group. There's so many good ways to hide these days. That layout hunting has to be a special situation anymore for me to do it. But I'm ready to do it at all times. I'm ready to go. I got whatever piece of equipment I need to attack whatever situation arises.
Yeah. So when you do your layout hunts, you have your dog's name's Georgie, right?
Correct.
Okay. You have Georgie in like a Momarsh blind behind you, or do you put her in your kayak with you?
I will do both. It depends on whether I can haul in the dog blind. Preferably, the dog hide is better because they're not in the boat with you, jumping over your back, jumping over your shoulder. I've had dogs of mine, when you come up to shoot, they nudge you in the back because we adapted the northern flight layout blind. And we used some conduit piping and some Benemy fittings to make a dog hood. So it goes over the back and the dog goes under it. And so I've used that more than I've used the dog hide. But it just depends on, if I'm portaging a long way, then that dog blind becomes another piece of equipment that I've got to use. So if I just don't feel like I want to add that to all the gear that I'm bringing, then I'm going to use the hood and have her behind me. But it's definitely better to have the dog hide because you're not going to get as wet. And that, if the way it works with them behind you, they're going to literally jump up over your back and onto you and out. At least the way I do it. So I've done it that way more than the dog hide, but the dog hide's probably preferable.
Yeah.
I mean, the dog blind.
Yeah. Me and Troy, we've both bought beaver tails this year, so we'll try to start hunting out of those. That's one of the deals we've always talked about. We taking the dogs in the boat and letting them hunt out of the boat. We go put them in a blind. Now,
do those beaver tails have a section behind you? I don't think those beaver tails do have a section behind, do they?
No. We got the Final Attack, so it's just a small little 8-foot boat, so it doesn't have.
Is that one with the square front, with the flat square front?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You're not gonna. You don't want your dog in there when I first started, I had it was a Carson's layout. What was the name of it? I can't remember, but it was the small one, and I actually, embarrassing enough, tried to hunt my dog in between my legs. And so I was shooting over my dog. I did that for 1 year and I was like, this is ridiculous. This is not going to work. The dog in front of you, you're shooting over its head. It was like, this is unethical. This is horrible. But yeah, those wouldn't work for you either with your dog behind you in there. I would definitely not have your dog in those.
No. Yeah. We've figured out some different ways of trying to haul a jet sled in with us and everything else. The only harder part is, when you go to Nebraska, they don't let you have the combust engines around the WMA stuff, so I think we'll try to either paddle or get a little trolling motor and put in there.
Well, and there's so much vegetation in those pools that even a trolling motor is difficult, and a lot of them you have to portage to get, to get to the even water. You got to drag a couple hundred yards just to make it to the water. So in that situation, in most of those pools, I'd get my layout boat in there and probably just walk it. Those are hard bottom pools, which is really nice that they're hard bottom pools. But that's probably what I would do, is just get them in there and walk them. But I've had, with my H12, I can have decoys in the back, decoys in the front, and then I'll put my dog hide. I'll put it into a little square and then just put it on top. And I have used a sled behind too. So you get a big enough sled, like a nice big one, you can make your dog hide work. You can get it in there.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I hunt out of a kayak up to this point for the last couple of years, and my dog Ruth, she rides in between my legs out there and back and everything. And then I hook it up like a trailer. I just basically clip it onto my pull handle on the back of the kayak, and I have the extra large jet sled, and it fits my Momarsh perfectly in there. My decoy stakes and bag of decoys and coffee and my blind bag, and it's set to go.
Yeah, I've done a lot of that too. It really helps you have a lot more, be able to take the kind of equipment you want to have a big one.
Yeah, I think so too. So, you were talking about hunting with like 4 people. Do you prefer more hunting by yourself than with a group? Or if so, what's like the max people you want in a group?
4 is pushing it to me. I like 3 is ideal, especially because I'm filming. If I have 3, I can do a lot of filming early in the hunt because you got 2 shooters. But 1, 2, or 3 is ideal. If I've got 4, it starts feeling a little crowded. 5, I absolutely do not like. And 6, normally 5 and 6 is just not going to happen. Now, early on a teal season or something, I don't like big groups. I don't want big groups.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to stay away from 4, 5, 6 plus every single. It doesn't mean I'll never do it, but I don't like it. I don't like it to be a chatter party. You know, I like it to be reverent and calm, and too many people's too many opinions, too many voices, too hard to hide, too chaotic. And I just prefer the smaller groups. And there are times which I want to solo hunt where it's like, okay, I am just wanting to solo hunt. The peaceful serenity that you can get just you and your dog is unmatched. And so there's 2 or 3 times a year it's just like I just want to go out by myself and experience it, just me.
How long have you had Georgie? I know I've heard
she's
you say
7.
7.
This will be her 7th season because she started hunting at 14 months old. So when she was 1 was her first season. So this will be her 7th year hunting.
Okay. She's still running pretty good.
Oh yeah. She's not, Charlie doesn't have any grays. I mean, she is not slowing down one bit, man. She is a high powered, high energy little Ferrari of a dog. And she is not slowing down one bit.
That's good. We were talking to the last person we had on the podcast, and he was talking about how this is his dog's last year, and really upset about it. So I understand that part too. Like I'm regretting the day that I got to look for another dog.
It's not a fun part of it. I'm already thinking about it because, you know, I mean, if you can get even if you get 10 full seasons of your dog, you can't complain. Maybe some people get 11 full seasons. Very few people get 12 like full strong seasons. So, and Georgie's 7 now. So it's like, man,
yeah.
Oh, that's the worst part of it. The absolute worst part of it.
Yes.
Are you still running competitions with Georgie?
I'm kind of done with that for now. So we got our HRCH title, which is the highest level of HRC, which, I mean, there's the grand, which I haven't gone to that. That's like the Super Bowl of it. And then we got our master title with the AKC, and I decided that we had done enough. We had surpassed the goals I had with us to start. So I decided that we'll probably do a couple of tests just for fun here and there. But as far as actually out and actively working towards goals, yeah, we're done with it. We didn't do anything this summer, and this was the first summer that we hadn't done anything. I had reached a point where I was like putting so much time and effort into it that I was like, okay, we're good. We're good. We can put our energy elsewhere now. But I loved it.
With the running competitions, did you feel like that enhanced your hunting with Georgie, or do you feel like it was one of those things you got a little bit more nitpicky and were more critical of yourself and your dog?
No, it definitely enhanced the hunting because you're just training so much. I mean, it forces you to train, and the more you train, the better team you and your dog are going to be, and the better your dog is going to be in the field. So yeah, it 100% made her better. It's a difficult thing to get a dog to do everything that you want them to do in training and in the field. I mean, it's when you're talking blind retrieves at 150, 200 yards and stopping on the whistle and taking signals the way you want them to during a hunt and everything. I mean, that's not an easy task, and it needs a lot of time and a lot of refinement to do it properly in the field. So that training was great. And it just enhances your whole waterfowl life, because here you get the off season and you're like, okay, now we're in hunt test season, and you're meeting with, if you want to do it right, you need a little hunt test group, and you're meeting with them several times a week. Then you're going and traveling and staying in hotels with your friends and watching all these incredible dogs at hunt tests and competing in hunt tests. I mean, it's an absolute blast. So it makes the whole hunt test season after season ends, there's no off-season depression when you're running through it. It's just an absolute blast. Anyone that has a dog and has the time, I would suggest getting into it, because it's going to make you and your dog, to make you a better trainer. It's going to make your dog a better dog, and you're going to have a great time doing it. So it's just wonderful.
Is there a pretty big learning curve to getting into it, or is everyone pretty helpful with that when you're getting started into it if you've never been in the circuit?
Everyone's very helpful. I would definitely HRC is better to start off than the AKC. HRC is more fun and friendly amateurs, and AKC tends to be more pros. There's pros that run in both, but AKC feels like that there's way more pros running. Like one guy will have like 30 dogs he's running. HRC is more of they have a banquet on Saturday nights, and it feels like the majority of them are amateurs, and everyone seems a little more friendly. And so I like them both, but I would definitely HRC is the one to get into. It is definitely a learning curve for sure. There's lots of procedures and rules, and if you've never trained a dog to that level and you've never followed a system, and whether you're doing, I don't think your training should be any different whether you're doing a hunt test dog like HRC or AKC or whether you just have a hunting dog, depending on what your goals are. I mean, but if your goals are to be able to actually handle your dog in the field and have the best waterfowl retriever that you can, you should be following the same plan and the same system as if someone that's just a hunt test only person. So the learning curve for that is pretty good. I mean, you've got to pick a plan, find a good one, follow it, follow it piece by piece, and then you're going to probably need help and questions from the community. But there's so many great resources. There's so many great resources. Like Georgie's the first dog that I ever was able to have whistle sit and take hand signals. My last dog was steady, but she never, she wouldn't take hand signals or, Georgie's just a different level dog. So, I mean, it's definitely doable, but it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work and you have to be willing to put in the work that it takes, but it's not like something everyone can do it. It's just how much do you want to work at it,
Yes, sir. With, I know I've heard you and Chris or Chris tell you that hunting degrades training. Do you have to spend a lot of time after hunting season getting polished back up for running in the competition series?
It depends on what your goals are for your dog. So Chris is focused on running the HRC Grand and the AKC Master National. And those two levels are a completely different level than your HRC finished tests, which if you get a finished dog, they have their hunting retriever champion title. If they pass the Grand, then they have their Grand hunting retriever champion title. And dogs have to be completely fine-tuned to make that jump from finished to the Grand. So with Georgie, now she is by nature a phenomenal dog. And I ran into a lot of amateurs that were passing about half of the test. Georgie only failed one ever. And I think it was more her bloodline than it was me because it's like she just learns so quickly. So I think she really is an exceptional dog from an exceptional bloodline. But with her, I felt like I could get out of hunting season and bring her up to a finished test and her pass it. I mean, I felt like that. When you're talking next level Grand, it's so technical and you need so much precision and the standard is so high. I mean, even like professionals at the Grand, only 35% of them are passing. I mean, those tests are so hard. So, and yes, hunting does degrade them for sure. But if you have a dog that has passed its finished test, that has that title, there's not that much. They're going to degrade a little bit, but if they're to the level that they can do it, they can do it. It's really that next level. And I've only worked with Georgie. She comes out of a bloodline that I truly believe is one of the best bloodlines in North America. So I don't know. I haven't had my hands on a lot of dogs. Maybe she really is easier to train than a lot of these other dogs. Maybe I don't know whether she's like most dogs learn as quickly as she does or whether she really is spectacular. I don't know. If every dog is like, it learns to the level that she does, that gap of degrading can be covered just with a couple times out and a couple times working. I mean, so I don't know, but that whole training with your training group and your friends is so much fun that putting in that work and getting them back to the point where they're on point is, not that big a deal and fun.
With the experience you've had with Georgie being a lot higher caliber of a dog that I've heard you talk about than, even your last dog, when you get to that point of choosing your next dog, are you going to take any kind of different route, or anything you've learned from this that you want to look for in your next one and your training journey through that part?
It's either going to be a sister of Georgie or a niece of Georgie. I'm going to stay right in that. I want every dog I ever had. I want to be the same bloodline. So her dad is still having litters. Now I'm probably going to get a dog in 2 years. So I'll either get hopefully one of her dad's pups, which would be a half sister of her, or she has two litter mates, one named Linda and one named Red. They're full brother and sister of Georgie out of the exact same litter, and they're producing pups. So I'll get one of those dogs, and then I will actually breed that dog after I'll probably twice, probably at like age 3 and age 6 or something like that. And then the second breeding, I'll get one out of that litter. So this bloodline I want until the day I die. I mean, I've been around a lot of dogs, and when Chris Jobman breeds dogs, the thing is you can get, so when it comes to breeding, the way that the breeders work is they have a dog, and let's say that dog has its grand title out of the HRC. And then they want to breed it to, let's say, a female, and they find another female that has a grand title. And so they get them together, and then you've got puppies, and with parents that both have like these prestigious titles. But in that setting, the people that are breeding them don't know the behavioral tendencies of those two dogs. And those dogs are going to produce good puppies, don't get me wrong. But when Chris Jobman breeds, he doesn't hardly ever breed. So when he does, he'll take his top dogs, and he's watching for behavioral tendencies of all of the other dogs that he has his hands on, because he's got like 80 to 100 dogs there. Some of them are his own, a lot of them are client dogs. And so when he sees a mix that he thinks will be just next level spectacular, he does these specific breedings. So it's a different type of, he's not a breeder. And he's been around so many dogs in his life. And I think that's why one of the reasons he gets such great results, because he's like watching these tendencies, and he's mixing those two things together to get a specific type of dog. One thing that he's bred into dogs is like an off switch, which is absolutely insane. Georgie is as enthusiastic a hunting retrieving dog as you will ever find. She walks into the house, and it's like, boom, she's like a lazy, like she doesn't pace the house. She doesn't chew on things. She has this off switch that's just absolutely insane, which you just don't see. So it's really cool with Chris that he's able to put these cocktails together of the exact type of dog that he wants, and then he just replicates it. And so I'm staying in this bloodline until the day I die. This is the bloodline I'm with.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to find. I know a lot of people talk about that. They want the fire breathing dragons, what everyone says, out in the field, and they won't want to come home and just act like they didn't retrieve a 200-yard duck. And it's just really hard for people to find those dogs, or they can find one, but they can't find both of them. So that seems like that's a big help in that part.
And those dogs are not easy. These fire breathing dragons are a lot of dog. They're too much dog for a lot of people. They really are. Georgie was a lot for me. Just in the field, I mean, I had never done it before. So, but that's what I want. I want to take that like Ferrari, and just like bring it down and like control it, and I will be better at it next time than I was this time. But it's a lot of dog. It's a lot of dog for sure. These high-powered American bred dogs are a lot. It's like you're going for that home run of just all-time dog, where you can get different, like British Labs, for example, are wonderful and can be very wonderful, but their top end is probably not as high, but they're easier to control. They're quieter. They naturally hold better. And so it's like, it just depends on what you're trying to get out of a dog and how much you're willing to put in.
Yeah. So do you prefer the females over the males? And
yeah, I do. I don't know why.
Is there a reason for that, or just
we've always had females? Just since my dad, we've just always had females. I don't know. We just always have. I just like having a little girl dog.
Yeah.
But all of the top trainers, their top dogs are always males. Always.
Yeah, I feel like I've been around a lot of hunting dogs and raising them, training them, different stuff like that between my family and previous jobs. And I feel like the females are a little easier to control and more reliable, but for that next level and getting that drive and that comes natural, the males are going to exceed any day, but you have to be able to control if you're going to be able to get them to that next level.
Yeah, well, if you go and look at the records for passes at the Grand, I think the record for males is 14 Grand passes, and the record for females is 10. So, I mean, the difference is slight, but obviously there is some kind of difference. I think it's probably pretty small, but there's something there.
Now, kind of changing gears a little bit, how is everything with the app? Kind of tell us a little bit about how that came to fruition and the growing pains with that you experienced.
With the app? Is that what you said? It broke up for a second. Did you say with the app?
Yes, sir. The North American Waterfowler app. Kind of tell us a little bit about how you got started with that.
Okay. So back to my dad, when I was in college, we started a competition on a spreadsheet, he and I did, just for fun. It was him versus me, and we gave numerical values for each type of duck and goose. And then after each hunt, we would write down in a spreadsheet what we shot, and we would give a point system to it. And then at the end of the year, it was just like who could beat who. And so that progressed over time. We stopped doing the competition, but we just started keeping track of recording data from our hunts. And one point, the spreadsheet went from my dad to me, and I tricked it out to where we started keeping track of shooting percentage and our average birds per hunt, and who shot the most record of blue wings in a year. We just started keeping everything on the spreadsheet. And that started around 2006, where it's like I finally tuned the spreadsheet. And somewhere during 2010, 2011, 2012, I started telling my dad, I was like, wouldn't it be so cool if we could have this turned into a website? And because every year the spreadsheet was so advanced, it was always having problems, and I was having to update things, and it was just complex. And so around 2016, after freelance duck hunting, my YouTube channel started growing. I was like, you know what? I want to try to turn this thing into an actual website. So I got lucky. I had a developer friend that did a lot of work for real cheap and turned it into a website. Then we turned it into an app. So then we actually added in that point system that my dad and I used to do. That's on there too. So you get done with the hunt, it takes about 2 minutes. You just log what you harvested, the date, weather variables, just an assortment of different things that happen on the hunts. If you shot a double, if you shot a triple, I can't remember what all you keep on there. It takes about 2 minutes. And then over time, the data for those hunts are accumulated, and it spits out number of hunts you've been on, what your bird per hunt average is. And then you can sort it all sorts of different ways. So I can go in and look at like the area that we've been talking about in Nebraska. I can go into my hunt selections and select just all of the different pools that we hunt out there, and then hit sort, and it'll just show me all of my data for that location. So I can see which areas have been more successful than others. And then I can look at how they've been under different weather conditions. There's just a lot that you can do with it. You can connect with friends so that you can join a little crew and see each other's data. Now the location data is completely hidden from everyone else, and for yourself, you just name it. Like if you're going to a certain lake, if you've never hunted there before, you just name the lake, and now it starts tracking data for that particular lake. You can keep dog retrieves on there. It's just an extension of what my dad and I were always doing. And it's really fun. If you like keeping track of your hunt data, it's a lot of fun. You can put pictures in there of your hunts, and then you can go look through all your pictures and click on a picture and the information of that hunt will pop up. You can write down notes of everything that's happened. I think it adds a lot to waterfowling experience if you're a kind of person that likes that kind of stuff, which not everyone is.
Yeah, we've definitely had a lot of fun with it. Me and Blake and another guy that we hunt with have a little crew and everything, and then we keep up with each other's stats. And I always like to look through every year of like, okay, who's in charge, or who's in front of the state and the flyway and all that different stuff. It's always fun to look through that.
Yeah, that's right, because you can actually go in and see the leaderboards by state, by flyway. I think it's fun too. It's just a fun little friendly competition. No one takes it overly serious. What I need to do, and I haven't done yet, is that when you join a little group or a little crew, then you can see it just by that crew. So it's like if you have a 10-person crew, you could go in and just see the leaderboard for you 10 people. I've been meaning to do that. I need to do that because that'd be fun.
The apps came a long way too, because I remember when I first got it, it was I didn't think I even had the right app at first because it was it looked like a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then you changed it about, I think, a year after I got on. I was like, and I already had all the data. I was like, man, this is nice. And that's what I told Troy. I was like, yeah, I got to start getting into this. That way I know how y'all are doing. If I got to kick it up and go on
I had a graphic designer go in. Well, first, my wife's a children's book illustrator. So the original form that you're talking about was like these characters of like me and Jordan and my like cartoonish stuff. And my wife's not a graphic designer. She's a children's book illustrator, but she's not a graphic designer. So I paid an actual professional graphic designer to go in there and make it look more professional and lay it out better. And weirdly enough, it actually made the experience feel more user-friendly, even though it was exactly the same. Something about someone professionally laying things out, it felt way more user-friendly, even though none of the functionality was changed at all.
With the app having your scoring system, do you catch quite a bit of grief from some people? Like, well, why is this one worth so many points? Why is that one not worth any points?
A few people have griped and complained. People want to gripe about everything, and I've heard a few people gripe and complain about the leaderboard system. It's the worst thing that's ever. It's like, dude, shut up. If people, if people want to have fun, it's not like it's high stakes. It's like if people want to have a little fun and do a little competition, just shut up and go somewhere else if you don't like it. It's like, oh, it's ruining waterfowling. Really, shut up. I'm tired of people whining all the time about stuff.
Yeah, that seems like it's gotten a lot worse since me and Troy started. There's a lot more people just complaining. I mean, I know we kind of talked before we started a lot about the corn stuff and all that. It's just like, if you just put the time in, you can find the ducks, but you really got to go in and put the time in.
Effort goes a long ways. I know a lot of people killing a lot of ducks from Louisiana up to Canada and everywhere in between. I know a lot of people killing a lot of ducks.
Yeah. And I've said that on here with Troy and some other people. Like, a lot of people, I mean, of course, everybody wants to shoot green mallards, but I mean, if you come down, shoot a lot of gadwalls and pintail and teal in Louisiana, I'm just as happy to go shoot 6 ducks of everything else. I mean, yeah, I'd love to go shoot a full strap of mallards, but I'm also happy to go shoot whatever's where I'm at.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, more ducks are shot in Louisiana than any other states still, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Okay. It's like...
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Cry for us some more as you kill more ducks than any other state in the country. Not you, obviously, but I think ever since COVID, people are in this heightened state of being upset and just wanting to complain. I think COVID plus social media, it's just been a recipe for people just wanting to be upset, wanting to complain, wanting to let someone have it online. They're so frustrated in their lives that they get behind a computer and they just want to absolutely act a fool. And I really think that something fundamentally changed in a lot of people during COVID. I think COVID rattled people's sense of security, rattled people's sense of stability, rattled their ability to believe in the medical industry, medical complex. I think it was a big changing point for a lot of people. And I just don't think that we've fully recovered as a society from that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, sir. Kind of going along the
now
lines
with the
of
hunting stuff too. I got a question. What do you think about what they're saying with the El Nino, the weather stuff? You think it's going to be a tough season for everybody?
Maybe. As long as we get out of the drought, I don't care because so my understanding is it should be a lot wetter, but not a real harsh winter. So if we could just wash the drought out and get the drought in our rearview mirror, there will be ducks to kill. And the thing about warmer winter, it doesn't mean all you need is a few really tucked in hard cold fronts during that time to move birds, right? So if it's still on average warmer up north, but we can mix in maybe a November cold front and a December cold front and like still really get those events that can push birds, then I think there will still be ducks to kill. There will still be ducks to kill. And we'll see. We'll see. But there will still be some ducks to kill for sure. Maybe it won't be quite as good, but if you're out there grinding as hard as you can, chances are you'll kill some birds.
Yeah.
Along those lines, I know I've heard you talk about it. Me and Blake are very much big proponents of it. The kill limit hunters? I know you've talked about not being a kill dependent hunter or limit dependent hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Has that kind of changed in your duck hunting career? Were you more gung ho of I've got to get a limit every time to be happy, or have you always kind of carried that same sense throughout your hunting
I want
career?
to kill limits. I want to shoot limits. Every time out, I want to shoot a limit. But that doesn't mean I have to shoot a limit to be happy. The things what I don't like is zeros and blue sky, like just totally empty blue skies. I don't have much tolerance to sit out for hours and hours and feel like there's not a duck around. I do not like that. But if there are some birds working, I'm good. I'm happy. And then a lot of it is expectation dependent. If you're like, oh, I've got the X and we are just going to burn them down today, and you're so excited about that, and you go out and you only shoot a couple birds each, you're probably going to be a little disappointed. If you're like, man, it is stale out here, I'm worried that we're going to get blanked, and you go out and you shoot a couple birds each, you're going to be really happy. So it just depends on the day. But I'm not a limit dependent, but I am a little bit kill dependent. I do not like going out and seeing nothing. I do not like it at all. And if I stack a couple of those together, like 3 or 4 hunts of zeros, I don't do well with that. I don't do well with that. I get a little bit annoyed. But I don't need a lot. I just need I need something. I need something. Like, let me kill 2 or 3 on a hunt, But ultimately, my goal every single hunt is to kill a limit every single hunt. And I'm not going to apologize to anyone for wanting to shoot a limit. It's so funny. You hear so many times people like preface it, like, let me preface this with, it's not all about the limits. Like, people feel like they have to apologize for wanting to kill limits. It's like, that's what we're trying to do. You don't have to apologize for wanting to shoot limits. You don't have to apologize for being a little disappointed for not shooting a limit. But if it's, if you're dependent on a limit for your happiness all the time, I would say you're not getting the most out of waterfowl hunting. But this whole thing of like telling other people what they should and shouldn't be happy with, it's like if some guy wants to kill a limit every time and he gets a little bummed if he's not killing a limit, but he's hunting completely ethically in every way, what do I care? What do I care whether that guy is upset about not killing a limit or not? It's like the community is so quick to tell people what they should feel and what they should be doing. It's like, as long as you are ethical, following all the rules, not wounding birds indiscriminately, not sky busting like crazy, treating people well out there, then I don't care what your inner dialogue is on whether you want to kill a limit or not. It doesn't affect me. I'd say that the recipe to having the most satisfaction out there is to be able to go out and enjoy the entire experience. That's the best recipe for fully enjoying what you're doing. But if some 22-year-old wants to whine because he's not killing a limited every time and it upsets him a little bit, it's his experience, not mine, right?
Yeah, the only goal I set for myself last year was no skunks. And I didn't kill a bunch of limits or anything like that, but I had a great time because I set a manageable goal, and I did not have one single skunk last year, so I achieved my one goal. But
that's
my main thing, I guess I'd say out of all
goal.
that you
I always
put in
have
there
a
is the
few
camaraderie
skunks.
needs to change.
That's a good goal. That's a big goal.
Now, I've seen that you talk with a lot of the DU guys about stuff. What is your outlook on? I've seen this going through the social media a lot here lately with the teal season, just being the whole September. Do you think that would make a difference? I know a lot of people say just let it be the full month.
I think that I don't know about the full month, and I don't know. I would want to see how many teal they think would be killed during that month. What we know is that harvest of ducks at our current level of harvest does not affect the population. Now, there is a level where you can obviously during market hunting, they killed so many ducks that it was starting to affect the population. So you can pass a threshold of hunter harvest that affects the population. But at current harvest levels, we are not there. So for us to manage the teal season, like teal season traditionally is 2 weeks and 3 weekends. But there's a threshold of, I can't remember what it is. If the population gets below a certain point, then they bring that to 1 week and 2 weekends. That does not match up with the general scientific consensus of hunter harvest at these rates not affecting the population. What affects the population is the habitat on the nesting grounds. That's just what affects it. And so I think we'd be perfectly fine to extend the based on everything that I've talked to a lot of biologists, a lot of scientists, and the best understanding is that current harvest rates are not affecting population size. So I think it would be absolutely fine to. I think it's just silly to retract the blue wing season, and I think we would probably be fine to do the whole.
Yeah. Okay. So at this point, we will be doing our little intermission. So just a little story time. We did not have an intermission in mind when we originally recorded, but somehow along the way we had some technical difficulties. Elliott's mic somehow disconnected, turned off, whatever happened. And so you may hear that a little bit. The audio just changes a little bit for him. It's nothing bad, but we went ahead and stopped recording. Well, somehow when we stopped recording, mine continued. And then once we got our technical difficulties figured out, Blake and Elliott started in a whole nother recording, but we were all still together. So it made two different recordings, and I'm asking questions. Well, mine are on one recording, and then there's a blank space where Elliott talks, and then in the other recording, there's a blank space where I talk and Elliott talks. So I have gone through and painstakingly duplicated and overlaid to the best of my abilities. So I'm going to apologize. It is listenable, but it is not polished and perfect because of, natural pauses, stuff like that come with recording and speaking to people. Those aren't quite there, and there's not a way I could really fix that without spending hours and hours and getting a degree to do this. So I've got it now to where you'll hear me ask and then immediately Elliott answers and so on and so forth. So we went ahead, and this is going to be the little intermission in between Elliott's problems with his mic that you probably just now heard and what you're fixing to hear now. But we're going to take advantage of that, and this is our good little intermission break to give you the code word for the week. So we have a picture we want to share with you. Let me pull it up right quick. Blake's going to tell you the name.
Oh, there's a good story behind this thing too.
So the code word for the week for our giveaway is coot. If you don't know how to spell that, I don't know why you're listening to the show, but just in case, COOT. That is the only one I'm accepting. It is coot is the code word. That is what you're going to put into the entry form. Now, Blake, I guess I'll let you take it away on who this is.
Okay. This is Mallard Luther Coot. Or King. It just depends on who's at the station that day. This is our mascot for one of our outline fire stations where I work. I got a good buddy that Troy's hunted with too. He is a very big, thinks he's a very big coot hunter. He just wants to shoot nothing but coots. If you ask him what bird it is, it could be a mallard, it could be a pintail, it's a coot. He knows what they are.
Or a Texas eagle.
Or a Texas eagle. He knows what they are. Backstory, we were hunting one morning, we shot this coot, doing some pantyhose. Didn't tell him, like, hey, this is one of these birds. I can't remember what I told him it was. Fast forward to probably 2 years later, a year later, he had this one, and he also shot a hen shoveler, which I told him was a mallard, a female mallard. He takes both of these birds to his taxidermist, and they unthaw him. They call him, and they're like, Metz, are you sure you want to get these mounted? He's like, yeah. He said, they're going to look great on the wall. Well, come to find out, they mounted a coot and a shoveler hen. So the coot got kicked out of the house by his wife. And now the coot sits on one of the, it's not a pedestal, it's like a display case.
Little trophy case kind of thing, for plaques and everything.
In our living room at one of our stations. We had to dress him up a little bit. That little necklace with the cross is actually my daughter's that she outgrew, and it was in my truck. And I walked in one day and just put it around his neck because we didn't have a gold chain. So that's pretty much the story. I mean, he's our station mascot. We got stickers with him as the mascot and everything else, I'm pretty sure.
Well, in honor of Mallard Luther Coot, the code word this week, again, if you missed it a second ago, is coot. So make sure, go find the entry form. We'll have it on all the socials. Go put that in, and you will be entered to win some awesome prizes. So with that out of the way, I just wanted to say I apologize. It's a little choppy. I did the best I could, but like I said, didn't lose anything. It just took me some editing and a little bit more advanced skills than I'm used to using for the editing of our shows. But like I said, I got it done. It may be a little choppy. Just bear with us for the last few minutes of this. So on with the show. So one thing I wanted to say that I appreciate about your show and ask you about, and kind of the evolution of it, is you do talk about your religion and everything, and you don't seem unashamed about it. And I know you've said that if anyone ever has any questions, reach out to you. Have you, from the beginning, was that something that you wanted to make sure and keep in the show as part of your religion, or did that something was there a moment that made that change where you did want to include that?
During freelance duck hunting YouTube channels, on my YouTube channel, we prayed before a lot of the hunts, and we started a side channel called FDH and Faith, and it's kind of faded off and we didn't use it properly. So our faith has always kind of been a part of what we have done. And on the Duck Gun podcast, Jordan and I never really talked about it. And then as I started doing the North American Waterfowler, I don't know that there was a moment in which I just decided. I think what I really decided with that podcast is if I want to talk about things, I'm going to talk about it, whether it be a 15-minute segment about NFL football, which I don't do a lot, or if I have a guest on and I find that they've had a military career that I find interesting, I might take 20 minutes to talk about that. I just decided if I'm going to put out 8 episodes a month, which, I mean, it takes a lot to do 2 episodes a week. In order to stay fired up about what I'm doing, I have to be able to talk about what I want to talk about. And a huge part of my life is my belief system. And so therefore there's times in which it's going to naturally come up and I'm going to talk about it. And I have told I have told the Lord that I'm not out here with a mallet banging people over the head with my beliefs, but if it naturally comes up in my content, then I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go with it. And so that's my prayer to God, is like, if there are times in which it's appropriate for me to share my beliefs in God, then I'm going to do it. And it just has been. And also I met Jake Maxwell from Chasing Green, and he felt like during our relationship that God was prompting him to encourage me to share my faith more across my platforms. And so he was giving me encouragement behind the scenes. And then I started getting emails and communications about Christianity. And so that became obvious content at times to share with my audience. So it's just kind of been, I mean, I may go 10, 15 episodes and you may never hear me talk about it at all. And then there may be 3 in a row where it's a 10-minute segment on each. I don't have any agenda. I just want God to use me to help people in need, however he feels appropriate to use me. So if I feel prompted and called on an episode, then that's what I'm going to do. And I've had, quite a few people contacting me in the background, asking questions, wanting help, wanting prayer, wanting me to help them find a local church that I think would be good for them, or whatever it is. I had one guy who was like, man, I'm heading down the road to getting married, and I'm feeling God calling on my heart, and I feel like I've got to get this right before I can get married. And so we talked all about that. And next thing you know, him, his wife, and her brother, they're all in a church, and it's like, so yeah, God's on a small scale, God's been able to use my platform to reach people, which is a wonderful thing. I mean, the best thing that we can do is follow the prompting of Jesus Christ in our life. I mean, and if we're doing that, then, I think we're on the right track.
Yes, sir. I completely agree. We kind of had that discussion early on. We're like, well, do we go out of our way to make sure and talk about it every time, or do we let it just when it feels prompted, when we feel like we're led to talk about it, do we talk about it? And so that's essentially the kind of the direction we went. Was me and him. I was like, should we start a little once a week little devotional? He's like, I don't think so. I don't know. We went back and forth, and so when it comes up, we don't shy away from it, but we don't have hey, we're going to read this verse this week. So that was I was just curious as to what your approach was to it from the beginning to now.
I just want to do whatever God wants me to do, no matter what it is. And I've told him with everything that I do, I'm like, hey, if God wants to take away waterfowl hunting from me, wants to take away all my platforms and everything, that's fine. I will follow him in whatever direction he wants to lead me, because ultimately, sometimes I think one hang up that people can get about really going all in with a relationship with Christ is the fear of what he's going to ask you to do. And the thing where people miss it, and I even forget it sometimes, is like, if you really have a relationship with Christ and he wants you to do something, you're not going to feel like you're dragged to it. He's going to put it on your heart and you're going to be fired up to do it, because your desires are going to become his desires. So it's like, if all of a sudden I felt like Christ was prompting me to not have the YouTube channel, not have the podcast, to hunt a lot less, I would be fired up to make that decision, because I am in line with the Holy Spirit and I'm in line with God's path. And it's what I would all of a sudden want and be fired up for, which I think people don't quite get that. And like I said, I forget that sometimes myself too. So whatever he wants is what I want.
No better way to put it than that. So, well, was there anything else you wanted to kind of cover? I want to be respectful of your time and everything as well. I feel like we covered a lot and not a lot at the same time, but I want to make sure and give you kind of a minute to let everyone know, if they don't already, where they can find you and all the different platforms that you perform in.
So if you want to watch my waterfowl hunts, I go on about 40 hunts a year. So I end up putting out about 25 videos. That's freelance duck hunting on YouTube. My podcast is the North American Waterfowler Podcast. Best place to consume that is on Spotify, because that's where the video portion of it is. The app is the North American Waterfowler app, which can be found on iOS or Android. And of course, you can find all of those things on Instagram as well. I think that's about it. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, sir. We thank you again for coming on. And make sure everyone go ahead and make sure you like and subscribe and keep an eye out. We will be hosting the competitions as soon as this thing releases. So keep an eye out for that. We will see y'all next time.